Appears we're live.
We are live, yes. We have been live for a couple seconds ago.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you happen to be in this world, and welcome to another episode in the continuing adventures of the Kindred of the Tarheel State with Tarheel by Dark. Tonight, we find ourselves in the Wake District near Jamestown, near a place called Castle McCulloch. In fact, our kindred are just pulling up into the parking lot of said castle. And as they approach, they will be met with cop cars, seemingly for a meeting, company meeting of sorts, a Christmas party, it looks like. And there are various other cars already there. And as our kindred approach, they will be met with this scene. And out in front of this door is a single gentleman in a very nice tux. So, whoever wishes to approach first, go right ahead.
Well, first off, as my typical entrance may be because of certain handicaps, what would have been witnessed would be a bird flying near one of the castle rafters, and then the bird would kind of sneak behind the building, and I would go into
Just a
my.
note, as you flew over, you saw the guard pick his head up and watch you fly.
Mhm. And just out of habit, because I'm doing the whole presto changeover thing, and I'm trying to stay cool, and keep the masquerade. I, swing behind the back of the building and circle back around in my human form, wearing a rather nice white suit, bronze scepter tie pin, and my lovely, lovely appearance five beautiful self with my flaming red hair and everything, just kind of you know, rolling on up, nicely polished boots and everything, looking like I'm ready for a formal event.
Cynthia comes rolling up in a Corvette, this red Corvette, and wearing mainly lace. Walks in after Ashford, just kind of slinking along behind him.
Just deep, heavy sigh.
The man at the door sees the both of you, says, "Ah, good evening. Are you two together, perhaps?"
Um, well, might as well be. She does tend to follow me around.
Ah, I understand. I understand. So, how may I help you?
Oh, Nathaniel Ashford here for this evening's event. Um,
We have quite a few events. Which party are you here for, sir?
um, the after hours. He just kind of, you know, gestures toward the pin. Yep.
Invitation, monsieur.
He gestures at the pin on his jacket lapel and kind of gives him a bit of, because.
Invitation,
Mhm,
sir.
mhm.
You
Um.
did get one in the mail, by the way.
All right.
Yeah, everyone did
Okay.
get them.
Everybody
Well,
did.
well, if I got one, I'll just kind of pass that over to him. I didn't. Yeah. I
Okay,
wasn't
he
informed of that.
takes it. He takes it and looks at it. Ah, SJ Holdings and the Red Owl. Ah, very good, sir. Very good. He closes it. He looks at you and gives you a wry grin. Both of you. Good evening, Mr. Ashford.
She reaches from
Miss
a pocket.
Pennington.
Oh, Oh, yes, okay.
Thank you, sir.
Our boss told us of you. Come, come, come. He turns to the door, opens it up, and escorts you inside. Now, if you will wait just inside, I'll be with you in a moment.
Right now, what we're going to do, guys, for sake of screen switches, we're going to wait until all characters are inside inside the building before we show you what's on the other side of the door.
Yes. And he'll close the door behind you and wait for whoever's next.
A young woman wearing a black dress approaches the door very tentatively. Just it sort of seems to hang back when she sees the guard at the door.
Huh. Seeing the nervousness, he will take his hands, put them behind his back, and almost squat a bit. Seems to lower himself just a tiny bit. Evening, miss. May I help you?
I got an invitation, and
Ah.
she kind of offers the invitation hesitantly.
He will very, very carefully extend a hand, take it with just the tip of 2 fingers, and pick it up. Ah, another for that party. Very good, very good. I don't believe we know you yet. You are?
Faye Palmer.
Ah, Miss Palmer. Very good, very good. I shall have to... Actually, just a moment. He puts a hand to his ear. Boss. Faye Palmer. He looks around. What family, may I say? Or would you prefer not?
Malkavian, sir?
Ah, as I figured, milady. Very good. Malkavian, sir? Bit timid, this one. Yes, sir. Very good. If you will, he opens the door and says, "You will find safety within, I assure you."
And Faye kind of skitters in, not wanting to stay outside for too long.
He'll very carefully close the door behind you and wait for the next person.
At this, Harry Walsh starts walking up towards the door, carrying what looks like a rather large box with him. He looks like he's having a little bit of difficulty trying to balance the thing, as he kind of walks up to the door and is looking at it and trying to fumble his hand around. And hold the box under his arm and try to fumble in his pocket for his invitation. Gets it out.
The guard will very quickly
Yes.
walk up and put both hands under the box.
Yeah.
As you're fumbling.
Yeah. Briefly.
I have this.
Thank you. Fumbles, grabs it, and takes the box back and hands the invitation and says, "I'm here for the event with Red Owl tonight."
Yes, sir. Is there a handle on the box?
No, there's no handle. Like this is a giant cardboard box that's basically covering over a project.
cardboard.
And yeah, well,
Okay.
it's cardboard, but basically you can see that my character is trying to handle it fragile. It is marked fragile, by the way.
Okay, yeah. He
I
takes
just
it.
have being marked fragile.
He actually sets it over beside the door
Yep.
and says, for the Red Owl party. Invitation, sir.
Yes. He already handed you the invitation.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. It's well. He
Yeah,
Looks at it. Yes, very good. Walsh, correct?
Yes, that's me.
Very good. Yes, the boss is inside. He'll see you shortly.
Brilliant.
And if you'd like, I can get this to him. He
Um,
looks at me questioningly.
no, this particular box is. I will need this particular box for a. I will need this particular box for something tonight.
For that demonstration you promised.
Assuming that assuming I get a chance to speak to the party at large, this is the demonstration for them. The demonstration for Red Owl specifically is has something in there, but I'll get that out for him in the moment as well.
Very good, very good. Well then, if you'd like, I can set it inside for you.
If you could set it inside, but please be very careful. The equipment in there, is very sensitive and very fragile.
Technology is very important to us. We understand.
Understood. I'll with
He will open the door and pull it open after moving the box away from it, and he'll very carefully slide it in.
Yep. My character will pop back in, and as the door closes, pick the box up again.
Okay. And he'll shut it back behind you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
There's one character left to go, I think.
Yeah, there's the other one more to go. There he is.
Okay.
Well, they didn't act like you fellas.
They never had like that.
They were all starving and they didn't have no water.
Well, of course.
There we go.
Okay, cool. Now that that problem's handled, a late teen or a gentleman looking in his late teens, possible or in early 30s, finally arrives to this event, dressed rather plainly, button-up shirt, a pair of blue jeans, sneakers, and glasses on. Looking very curious as to why he was invited. He makes his way towards the guard and says, is this where the event that's going on tonight is? I received an invitation.
The guard looks you square in the face and says, Florian, quit playing. Gimme.
You know I don't like parties.
Had to be done.
I know.
By the way, boss is looking for you. Just wanted to see his friend again. It's been a while.
I know.
But please, do enter. He'll go to the door and open it.
Thank you. Put his hands in his pockets and kind of walks on in, hoping to avoid anybody.
And you just walked into a crowd. Actually,
that's that sigh of
the last
utter
one,
defeat.
right? Yeah, he's the last one. So the guard will actually do something to the door. None of you. It's on the other side, so none of you can see it. But You can see he stops and looks at it and puts his hand in front of it on the other side of where you all are for a minute, nod to himself, and step in with you and close it behind him. Now, ladies and gentlemen, come with me. We have a special room prepared in the basement where your host prefers. As you all are seeing it now, bear with me. Minus the light, of course. This is what you see on the entrance. You can tell that the chandelier is not real flame. It is actually electric. So there is no fear of flames in this. He actually will walk to each of you and finally shake each of your hands very carefully for the more timid in the group. Say, well, I'm not at liberty to give too much information, but you may call me Timothy if you wish. And he looks around at the group and says, there are some who call me Tim? And before anybody can react, he turns and says, follow me! And he walks in through the doors that are actually behind this picture. They're not the ones that you're looking at, but the ones that are behind the camera. Because the ones that you're looking at are the actual entrance doors. He opens the door, and it opens up into a hallway. On either side are rooms. There are actually people, some in uniforms like himself. Most are in suits and ties, dresses, just on either side, just looking like they're having a party. Now, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, there are other parties happening here, but I can assure you they are understanding, if you get my meaning. Some of them might be available, some might already be taken. Do tread carefully.
Hang on, I need to double check something on my character sheet. Wrong section. Damn it, I can't tell where. Ah, for fuck's sake. I'm gonna have to find that other file. One moment. For some reason, the character sheet that I was given was incomplete, so I've got to try to find the other thing in my portable hard drive, which is going to be a pain. Did I take the hard of hearing? Did I take? Sorry. Did I take the hard of hearing flaw?
I don't remember you having taken it.
I just need to check because my computer has decided to freeze on me and not give me the particular. Because unfortunately, the character sheet you guys sent me is missing some of the key information that I transcribed to you, so I've got to find the backup copy.
Oh, apologies. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Yeah.
Here we go. Harry Walsh stats. Okay, just quickly open this. Because the thing is that if my character hears a certain thing while being talked about, I need to know about it so this way I can roll self-control. Let's see here. Flaws. No, hard of hearing. He can't hear. He can't hear that well. So
okay.
He wouldn't have overheard. He wouldn't have overheard that conversation that I wanted him to overhear.
Okay.
Oh, very well.
Basically, some asshole who was going to talk about climate change denial, and my character was going to have to roll self-control while holding a box.
No, there's nothing along those lines. Anyway,
Okay, fair enough.
it's all just chit chat. It's party talk, essentially.
Right.
Now, some will be available for the catering, but allow us to provide. If you need something, ask. We'll get you what you need. And I can promise you, it will only be that special kind from others of yours, from others of ours, that if you ask. No dirty tricks is what I'm promising. Anyway, he leads you down the hall to another door that he opens up. This one's a little bit less used. It creaks a little bit. And it leads to rough stone stairs that seem to spiral downward. He takes you down the stairs and into... Let me get the other picture. Where is it? There it is. There we go. This room, through the door that you can see in the picture. And again, the candles that are on the table are battery powered. There's no actual flame to them.
Just to clarify, are those windows actually there as shown in the picture?
They are there, but it's nighttime, so there's no issue.
No, I just wanted to make sure the windows were there because that's going to be pivotal for something I'm going to try.
They are there. They right now have curtains over them. Just for the sake of privacy.
Yeah, no, it's just because of the fact that I need my cell phone to have a signal out. As long as the windows are there, I have a signal out.
Yes, you will have signal.
That's all I needed.
No, that's no problem.
Also, Walt, don't forget about the as you guys were descending down to this ballroom area, you also were hearing, the various sounds of, Vivaldi and Beethoven and Tchaikovsky and the masters.
Yes. And it seemed a little too real. Almost like the instruments were there somewhere in the building. But he leads you down, and you can see there's already a few people gathered. There's one person sitting in the back corner watching. Those of you who've seen David, you recognize him. And let's see, whoever Will wants to be there.
Actually,
also,
the table closest in the foreground of the picture, you do see that those of you who have met Sam face to face recognize him, as well as Biltmore seated across from him at that table. A number of various other dukes and whatnot are here. Absent from the congregation is Duke Michael Day and Duke Dannington and Enzo Pugliese are currently absent. You also see that there in that little open area between the tables that's visible, you see that those of you who know Marquez and Andy, you see that the two actually are basically dancing with one another. But this is the dance that you see that they are performing is is not a modern dance. It's a you would dare say that it smacks of of 1600s court life, French court life specifically.
Harry puts the box he was carrying down on one of the tables and pulls out his phone and texts Red Owl saying, I'm the guy with the box if you want to come talk to me, and quickly slips it back in his pocket.
You see the guy in the corner nods at you, looks directly at you and nods at you, and sort of puts up a finger and twitches it your way. But anyway, before that happens, I've left out this one part. As you come in, on your left is a statue. A nasty-looking statue. Give me a moment, and I'll get it pulled up here. Where are you? That one should do it. And it seems to be made of some sort of dark metal, a bronze, or a really old brass, something like that. And it's just sitting perched there. Everybody make a perception roll.
Gladly.
Perception alertness or perception awareness?
Alertness.
Okay.
Alright, cool. Good thing is I have attentive, so that'll
I
help.
have two successes.
Let's see.
Sorry, 3 successes.
I'm assuming you're looking standard diff on that, Walt.
Mostly, I'm just looking at the rolls.
Okay.
Okay, you got
And
it.
like I said, Joey has it attentive. So if you want to let that trigger.
You said Joey has a 10?
I have attentive.
Yeah, nothing, babe. Absolutely nothing.
Oh, you have attentive.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. What was it I was making it? Let's make it a 9.
Yeah.
So he got 2. She got it. He got it.
By the way, Walt, I got 3 successes. Just got absolutely nothing.
Everybody who's scored at least a 9, at least 1 success on a 9. As you walk by this statue, it's not moving. It can't be moving, but you swear the eyes are following you.
Well, I knew that already, so.
Faye moves away from the statue as fast as she bloody well can.
Okay, so Faye takes off running.
Cynthia just goes, ugh, well, you're a monster, thingy, I don't know what you are, and tries to touch it.
Tries to... Doesn't move. You feel cold metal.
I'm going to roll intelligence science at this point. Specialty, intelligence science specialty prodigy.
Okay.
I'm looking to find. I'm looking to figure out specifically whether or not this is the. Looking specifically to figure out whether or not this is the classic illusion of the eyes following you, or if this is something else.
Okay.
Because since I swore the eyes were following me, I wanted to see whether or not it was an illusion.
Let's see what happens.
Something in the craftsmanship or just plain?
Okay, one of my successes got neutralized, but assuming standard difficulty, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes.
Hmm. You can't really tell.
All right. All right.
Either
This must
it's
be really good architecture.
yeah. It's to say if it is an illusion, it's one of the best applications of it you think you've ever seen.
Uh-huh.
Fair enough.
Uh-huh.
All right. So I basically say I basically shrug to myself, going most convincing optical illusion I've ever seen, and continue.
I'm rolling occult and intelligence.
Oh. Okay.
All right. Basically, all I'm doing in reaction to this thing is kind of sidestepping around it.
You can't figure it out.
I'm convinced it's magic.
Ashford just tries to move around to its blind spot so it isn't looking directly at him.
Just pat, moving on. Okay.
Every time you look directly at the statue, the eyes are staring straight forward. Just nothing. Nothing. So, but every time you look away, you swear it's following you. Anyway, all right. At this, David actually gets up, walks over. Ah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, good evening. Let me...
All right, now make sure you describe to the characters that might not know him.
I will. Let me actually get his picture here so you can see the face he's using. This gentleman walks over. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Forgive me, Duke David Menashe. Still not used to that. But, welcome to our little soiree. Florian, good to see you again. He looks directly at you and says that. Now, if you will, please, find your seats wherever you'd like to sit. Prefer if you sit with your Duke or Duchess. But we're somewhat informal tonight. This is a Christmas party, after all.
Hey,
And
Ashford
as he says this, somebody else walks in the door. No, rolls in the door. Let me switch again. Yes, I love switching.
Change places.
Change places.
Precisely.
Roll.
This gentleman rolls in a wheelchair with a somewhat attractive woman behind him. She's not like the Penningtons, or like, but she's decent. And
yeah, she's not traffic stopping, but she's okay.
yeah, she's all right. She'll do it a pinch. But rolls in and says, "Sorry, I'm late, David." It's like, "It's okay, Harry. Come in, come in." And the lady pushes him in, and he goes over and shakes David's hand. Oh, and David says, "For those of you who don't know, this is Harry Wallace. He's a knight of our good prince. Anyway, if you need something, let him know or me know, what have you. Anyway, Harry, sit wherever you'd like. Of course, of course." And she'll actually wheel him over to the prince's table, a little bit off to the side, but still close to it.
Now you said that there was a rather large dance floor, one that Andy and Marquez were dancing on, correct?
Well, it's not. It's not. Doesn't look like that's really what it's intended for. But that's kind of they look like they kind of make do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's if you could see the
Yeah.
pointer here, it's right in this area.
Okay. Harry is going to, before going to sit down, is going to move the box to a small area, off to the side, which is still plainly visible for everybody. And out of it, he gets a. I already set this up in another scene, so this is just rudimentary setup. I don't need to roll for this. He pulls out amongst the things. He pulls out a sun lamp and a tray, which looks like it has a sort of cross between cyanobacteria and vegetable matter. And he puts it. He flips the cardboard box upside down, puts it on it, and then plugs the sun lamp into the power outlet if there happens to be one in the room, and basically, and while he does this, wires up the tray of bacteria to wires it physically to a lamp and leaves it there. And basically, the sun lamp is off, but he's left it there and has gone to take his seat.
Okay. There seems to be a plug on the non-visible side of that support
Yeah.
in the middle.
Yeah, that's where my character reaches around to plug the sun lamp in.
With a cable running up it
Yeah.
into the ceiling. But yeah.
That's where my character runs around and plugs the sun lamp in there, and just makes sure that everything's good, and then goes to take his seat. Now, while we're on the subject, I need to make a intelligence computers roll. While we're on the subject, because I need.
Now, also, guys, if for some reason you are not dressed, at least business casual, we need to know.
Yes. If you're at least button-up shirt or polo with slacks, you will be okay. But we need to know anything less than that.
Button-up shirt, jeans, sneakers.
Jeans and sneakers. Okay. I don't know what in particular Will's got, but okay. Anybody else not in somewhat formal attire?
Cynthia's basically just wearing this, which is, wish.
There's very little that a female could do unless you were trying to not be business casual. If she's in a fairly nice dress, she's fine.
Yeah.
She didn't know, but basically just.
Yeah, so just.
Yeah.
Little.
Faye is in a black dress with black tights with white cat faces printed on them, and black boots.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Okay. Just a little heads up, Walt. Do you remember that thing I was do you remember that thing that David and do you remember that thing that David and Walsh were talking about earlier?
On Facebook?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so just a little heads up. I made 2 rolls, one of which failed, then I re-rolled at a higher difficulty 7. That is using the specialty of quantum computers, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 successes, specifically to turn my phone into a wireless hotspot, and using that to plant a piece of malware, not malware, but basically a little bug. Remember, I told you about the idea of turning everything into a microphone. Basically, my character has set up a wireless. Set up his phone as a transmitter and transmitted this particular piece of software to every phone within the room that basically that gets affected by the 8 successes. It doesn't have to be all of them, just a number of them. Now, I haven't said the key phrase to activate it, but this is...
When you did it,
Yes?
you heard a beep coming from David somewhere on his person.
Yes.
He pulled out his phone,
My character
and
will
did
send a little...
something on the phone. and put it back in his pocket.
Okay, so his phone may not be affected, but Nathaniel's is because
You
I
don't
did
know
that
what
earlier.
just happened.
Okay, I know, but out of character, I'm going to say Nathaniel's phone is still affected, and if your phone is a smartphone and is not David's phone, then you're technically then you have this piece of software on your computer, on your phone. Sorry, just a little heads up.
What's
Yeah,
up?
the average smartphone is not protected against what he put in here or out there. So
yeah. So like I said, barring David's, and my character, and by the way, I will not mention this yet, but there is a code phrase which my character will mention in a little bit.
Which you mentioned it before to him, right?
Yeah, I'm.
Or to me at least.
Yes,
Okay.
I mentioned it to David. The code phrase "danger now," which is not being activated yet.
Okay. All right. This is, once everybody gets settled, he says, Your Highness, if I may, this is David talking.
Sam puts up a hand, and now those of you that are looking his way notice that Sam looks a little, as much under the weather as a vampire can look. His face is not the normal, it's not flushed as it normally is. There's there's a bit of a redness around the retinas of his eyes, and you do see he has a bit of a slump in the posture to where the gentleman is typically sits straight up in the chair and maintains the almost perfect posture.
But he is David has asked if he may. He's asked for permission.
Sam
know
is
what
basically held up the hand as if to you feel free.
The wave off, like, go ahead. Okay.
Yeah.
He turns to the doorway, clears his throat. Prometheus, please. The statue beside the door stands up smoothly. Shoom! To
You hear it
almost
clatter
the
as
ceiling.
Faye falls out of her chair and gets under the table.
Okay. Stands up smoothly. He's faced this way, toward the entryway of the door, but off to the side of it. Steps forward with a turns, squats, and goes back on all fours.
Called it.
Mm-hmm.
Thought so.
Also, forgot to mention, you all saw a necklace around its neck. 2 palms upward with a ruby flame in the center. A silver necklace with a silver circle around the flaming palms. So, thank you, Prometheus. And when Prometheus moves in front of the door, he just about blocks it. He's so big. He's about 10 feet tall, standing straight up, and roughly 6 or 7 squatted down as he is. So he just sits there and watches.
And what did you know?
Huh? What was that?
She basically playing out her vocalization said, "And I petted you, why?"
But now, ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce Prometheus? He's a friend of mine, and yes, friend of mine. No touchy, he doesn't like that. No trying to mess with his head, he really hates that.
In short, don't be a dick to him. He won't be a dick to us. Gotcha.
As Florian said.
touched it a while ago. She just went pat and moved on.
Oh, alright.
Oh, she just patted him on the head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like when she first
Didn't
seen it.
move. Apparently didn't seem to mind it. Now, shall we then? There are lots of things to discuss. I'll leave it to you, Your Highness. And he goes over and sits in a nearby chair.
To this, you see that the prince takes his rises to his feet and with a what appears to be some type of almost looks like a television remote in his hand. As he points it over his shoulder, and you see he hits a button. As he does, you see a projector screen begins to pull itself down from the ceiling of this ballroom, as well as a second assembly also that's lowering from the ceiling that looks like it actually includes the projector itself. To which, as Sam begins to explain, ladies and gentlemen, peerage, kindred, brothers and sisters. First, let me thank you all for coming out this evening, and primarily, to Mr. Menashe, a very special thanks to you for extending the hospitality of your personal domain to my office. And with that said, and with the pleasantries out of the way, I think it is painfully obvious of the issues that we are facing at this time. And as he's speaking, you see that it's almost just like a set of slides that are appearing on that projector screen there on the wall. And you see as he continues to speak, and as he begins to highlight the issues, he points them out on the screen, and basically for you guys to follow along. The main things that he hits is domain security, personal security, and the basically where do we go from here as far as what allies do we have and how do we contact them, and there's a final note about Duke Day. Though he does not go into detail, basically in his opening statement here, he doesn't go into specific detail about Duke Day, but he does mention that it is something that needs to be addressed this evening, if at all possible. And before he returns to his seat, he literally, you don't even, something is really off with Sam tonight, because the man doesn't even have the gavel with him. As you see, he literally bangs his fist on the table a couple of times, and he speaks before taking his seat. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, and Kindred, I open the floor of the meeting to old business. The gathered dukes and duchesses look around to each other, and none seem to really bring up any issues. Very well, bearing none, then to new business it is. And with that, you see several hands go up around the ballroom,
included David's.
Yeah. All right, and you see the Biltmore, who again, as I said, is seated pretty much across from his father. You see that he does have some type of an ink pen or a pencil of some type in his hand, and basically as he looks around, you see that the pen is moving on what looks to be an actual something like akin to a Kindle. I mean, obviously, those of you that are technologically, savvy, know you can't ride on a Kindle. So, but that's basically the effect of, what he has here. As the prince motions out to to David, Mr. Menashe.
Yes, sir. Couple of things. One, I'd like to make an announcement. Since, as everyone knows, we of the Nosferatu tend to prefer our privacy, I have determined to elect a knight who shall serve as my proxy unless I am specifically needed. He has already been introduced to the family and all of that, and he seems willing to perform. May I present Knight Nathaniel Ashford. And he'll actually extend a hand to Ashford. Stand up, boy, stand up.
Of course, he'll kind of just carefully move to his left side, almost like a consigliere, and to a Don, kind of just standing on the side in a kind of lockstep and present himself to the assembled kindred. Just slowly, kind of soldierly, dignified walk, just polished military boots ringing off the floor. He just kind of has this little courtly bow and then salutes them all and just kind of stands by the beach.
A number of the other dukes and duchesses basically, nod to their agreement. You see, Andy, who, and this is odd for her, for those of you that know her, Andy, who, has taken a seat beside of the Marquez. No, not beside of Marquez, practically in Marquez's lap. As you see, she, one arm having been locked into the crook of his. You see that, she raises up a golf clap as Mr. David continues to speak.
Yes. Now, he's already been run through his duties, but he will be my voice whenever mine is not available, as is all knights, of course. But if you need something from us, and you prefer a less hideous face when we're not wearing these, you can go to him, and he'll get the message to me and to the family, and we'll do what we can. Second thing, seeing as there's an issue of traveling on the surface, I've discussed this with the family. We're willing to offer one of our tunnels, between each of the districts as transportation for the Kindred population.
Those of you in attendance see that the prince visibly, he visibly reclines back into the chair. As you see, he actually appears to be pondering slightly. As you also see that Duke Reynolds, the Bruja Duke, pulls up a finger to her forehead as she taps there for a second, and she leans in a little closer to the Nosferatu.
In other words, she's wanting to talk to him, or
no, she's just basically she's leaning in closer to hear.
She's really paying attention. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
As I said, one tunnel going between each district. You will not have to worry about traffic, and you will be heavily watched should you choose to use it. If you would like to use the tunnels, speak to myself. Harry and I have worked out a thing, so you can talk to him. And they both exchange a nod. Not Walsh, but Wallace
Yeah.
is the one he nods at. Um, or you can speak with my new knight, and he will arrange things. Uh,
Now,
to begin, what?
you notice Marquez specifically has basically looks like he just made a note on a napkin.
Okay. All right. Now, to begin with, while we get the tunnels prepared for non-Nosferatu traversal, there might be a bit of a cost for the travel, but that's still in discussion with the family. We may or may not need to do that. Um, if someone wishes to, if someone within the districts wishes to donate for the renovation of their tunnels, we won't turn you down. But they are available. They will be watched heavily by us, and they should be well protected. Now, he looks around. I believe I'm done. I yield my time. And he goes over and sits down.
To which, at this point, Marquez's hand goes up. There's stuff to tell you. Thank you, Madres. One, this is more of a point of inquiry, more than an actual issue. Dare I be the one to dive into the private businesses of Nosferatu, but I have to beg to question how it is that these tunnels would exist if those of us that are sitting on the Outer Banks areas of these districts. I beg to ask how structurally you could secure these tunnels. I mean, I think those of us that have lived in this state have known for many years that there is the ever-present threat of hurricanes, and myself living on Highway 12, that highway washes out nearly every year.
My character actually texts David at this point, and he receives a little text which basically says, if you need a suggestion with that, airlock technology might be usable, and I could easily design something to that, or you probably have someone in your contact list who could design something to that effect. Again, it's just a private text to Red Owl.
Sorry about that. Head motion in the background. Anyway, there's a beep, and David sighs, looks at his phone, stares over at Mr. Walsh, gives him a wry grin, and just nods. Already done, sir. He looks over, says that to Mr. Walsh, and then puts the phone away. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, there's a sort we would allow the use of our more advanced tunnels. One of them. This one has protection against weather. Very good protection against weather. It's actually 2 doors with a pump system between on each entrance. So in case there's flooding, there won't be flooding within the tunnel. Well, right now there might be a couple of inches, but we don't really care. But for this tunnel, we'll clean it up.
Very well. Now, just an additional question of this, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, Mr. David. I am moderately interested. How much of an investment would we be talking about here from individual peers members?
Haven't really talked about the logistics
At
yet.
that moment, Walsh. David receives a second text with an exact quote for the total project, with a little note. Sorry, I forgot to include that.
Okay, just got a message back from Kindred. No go on her, so moving
All
on.
right. All right. Let her know we appreciate her anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right.
But yeah.
With this, you see the prince actually puts up a hand. Ladies and gentlemen, if in the interest of time, it would greatly benefit us if we could refrain from the passage of notes via phones. A simple handwritten note will do.
At this, David will actually look over, nod, and say, if anyone needs to talk, just talk. Because we're all friends here, right? Right?
At this,
He
Harry.
gives that grin like, yes, he knows we're all kindred and that we're not all friends, but we need to at least get along.
Yeah. At this, Harry raises his hand, specifically on this project. At this, Harry raises his hand, basically wondering if he might be able to speak.
All right. Now, make me a wits etiquette real quick.
Hang on. I don't know if I... I have etiquette. That's going to be 4 dice. Just bear in mind that, again, I don't know how... my character doesn't know how the Tarheel system works. Mm-hmm. So you may have to put a increased difficulty on this.
Yeah, it's going to be at an 8.
2 successes.
Okay. As even with you, raising your hand to speak, it hits you that Marquez still has the floor at the time that you raise your hand. So he'll have to. It hits you that he's going to be that you won't, even if you're acknowledged by etiquette, you really won't get to speak until he finishes.
Which is why I quietly put my hand back down again after thinking better of it.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, David. Get me an idea on an actual on some actual quotes. I'll look into it for the Quotan.
He pulls up his phone and says, I'll have my people send it to you. I think I might have had one come in. And he'll send one off to the family instead of to anybody else. Say get other ideas of how much it'll be. And then send it to him.
Yeah.
Right. Well, any more questions?
You get nothing from around the room. Not from the peerage, anyway.
Okay.
To which you see the prince basically turns to the gathered players. Now, ladies and gentlemen, while I am aware, and I'm sure that you are aware, that the gathered dukes and duchesses here do have hold the grandest majority of the power. This does not prevent any of you from requesting to speak at any time. simply raise your hand to be acknowledged, and I will ensure that you are heard as soon as possible. And actually, as he's saying, as he finishes that statement, his eyes cut mainly over to Mr. Walsh.
Harry, at this point, realizing that he may have an opportunity, raises his hand to speak.
To which he's acknowledged.
Harry walks up and says, "Distinguished members of the court, I have been sent here to address one particular problem, but upon arrival was notified by our illustrious prince of another. To that end, I have a proposal to address our security issues, or at least part of them." And with that, he says the phrase "danger now," and upon doing so, he says phrase "danger now." By the way,
from David's phone.
Yep. And as you hear that,
there's several other phones go off.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And as those phones go off, Harry says, "I have a quantum computer." Let me phrase this down. "I have a very powerful computer that is currently tied into every single person's phone with a piece of technology that will be able to turn that phone into an instantaneous recorder and locator for every single kindred. The reason I have made this is given the fact that we are facing security breaches. If any kindred should require immediate assistance or location, I propose the idea that this particular technology, with the corresponding key phrase, be said, so this way they can notify within seconds that they are in need of help and backup. I kindly would surrender this capability over to the court, specifically to maintain our current locations and any potential danger that we may be in."
To this, you see Duke Hargrove turns back to the prince. "Sam, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. If that happens to any phone in my domain, I will see that phone destroyed. It's bad enough. It's bad enough that we have to live under a government. Which this is not. Don't take this the wrong way. You've been an excellent leader, but it's bad enough that we have to live under a government like we do. Then we have technology like this showing up, turning the whole thing into a police state."
Not only that, think of the problem that would happen if, say, one of our enemies was to get a hold of it as well. It'd be open season.
My character raises his hand to continue speaking.
Continue, Mr. Walsh. At this point, we are simply an open debate.
"If I may, this particular technology is only activatable by a particular code phrase and will not reveal the locations of any other member. The central computer literally is the only one that has the ability to track every other member of the app. And that central computer, provided is in the hands of the entire court, could potentially mean that no kindred is automatically going to be able to have power over any other kindred, with the exception of the rules that have already been preset for this particular court. As in, only the dukes, duchesses, and the prince would have the power to look into this. And I would gladly surrender over all technology to do so."
And this David, sort of, he does kind of a flourish with his finger when he raises it. "And if I may, Mr. Walsh and I discussed it a little bit, and I'd be willing to offer one of the servers of the Tarheel ShrekNet for a backbone for this service if it's requested."
At this, you see Hargrove again. His hand coming up to his face.
And we
his index and pointer finger
know how well protected our servers are.
I mean, David,
yes.
I do not doubt the protection of your server. I do not doubt the capabilities of your family. But what troubles me is the amount of personal information that this has the possibility to lead to.
My character raises his hand one more time, and with the understanding that he is waiting to be allowed to speak to answer this question.
You see, Hargrove literally rises to his feet as his fist slams to the table.
My character gently lowers his hand.
Put your hand up. One more time, kid. I will come over there and shove it down your throat. Am I understood?
He nods quite fervently.
Again, it seems good on paper, but there's a security risk. If we can find a way, to make it work without this thing knowing every little detail about where I'm at, or where David is, or where, God forbid, where the prince is, I might be behind it, but right now it's too unsecure. As a hush falls over the gathered kindred, an awkward hush.
As they're
Broken
all, some of them,
by
as they're
one.
trying to run through ways to do it.
Funnily enough,
Yeah.
my character has. Funnily enough, Walsh has an answer to this particular question of exactly how to do it, but the only reason he's not giving that answer is because he was told not to raise his hand again.
Mhm.
With that,
I'm sorry.
my character decides to, with that in mind, takes his pen and pad out, writes a little note, closes it, and how close is David to can I say that my character is relatively close to where David is?
Well, yeah, you're all within
You
pretty
could-
much within no
You
casting
could also
distance.
just hold it up and
Yeah.
wave
Yeah.
it at David,
My-
and
my-
he'll
my-
walk over and take it.
My character holds up a folded note and hands it towards David.
Okay, he'll walk over and
Yeah.
flip it open.
The note reads, "The method for covering this is that this thing is not permanently on. And on top of that, I could easily write out the protocol factor of tracking the location for safety reasons. Again, this is easily modifiable. All of Dukes Hargrove's objections are easily modified with simple modifications of the computer programming. But again, that's only David can see that.
Okay.
The problem with that, though, David, is you've seen Hargrove get like this before, and if you push this issue much further, he's going to hurt somebody.
There's also a little bit of the note, which also the second part of the note also reads, "I did have one other thing that I wanted to show the court. Is now not the best time."
He looks at the note, looks over at Hargrove. Perhaps when the air's a little less heated, we can discuss your issues and table this for now. But get up with me, and I'll get up with Walsh, and we'll talk about ways to fix this. But we can table this for now.
And
And
to
he
which
says, now,
Hargrove
if-
raises a resounding second.
Now, if you'll let me, I can go ahead and get rid of this on all but Mr. Walsh's phone, if all of you will let me. Just for now. And we can redistribute it whenever it's perfected.
With
To which the prince, actually having heard that, Mr. Bouchard seemed to be about to speak before Hargrove lost his shit there for a moment,
But yeah,
he
David will go
puts his
ahead and do
hand
it.
out to Mr. Bouchard. Did you wish to discuss something?
Oh, no, sorry, I was really just needing to yawn. But since you asked my opinion, if I had anything to say. I will perhaps offer is the best word. Um, as those of you who may know, a couple of months ago I came into the ownership would probably not necessarily be the best word, but the closest of Cherry Hospital. Kind of as my domain in Haven. And I wished, unfortunately, things have not been in such a way to where I was able to comfortably sit down with my Duke and ask him this. So I figured I would do it now to see if anyone knows if anyone has looked into or has obtained the prisons near it, and if they are not, if it is possible, I could look at claiming those, so as to offer our kind a location or a what's the word I'm looking here? Come on, brain, think.
Florian, as you're thinking, Florian, you actually see Andy mouth the words "safe house."
Or safe house, or collection center, if you will, for those who may prove to be a problem.
Those who are paying attention, you see a look exchange between David and Harry Wallace, and a nod from Harry. And then David just looks back over and lets you continue talking.
So that when we run into any situations involving either those of our less friendly cousins being polite, or humans who do not know are in an unwelcome territory and believe they are the masters in charge of it, we have a location to detain them indefinitely.
You would receive no qualms from the Office of the Prince for this maneuver. However, you would still be required to seek the assistance, or at minimum the permission of your Duke.
Understood. I figured as of now, though, it was the safest time to ask was here, given all in all who was here at this time.
And out of game, he's in Dannington's district, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
To which actually you see Sam actually leans his head slightly over to Mr. Wallace, and you hear him speak. Mr. Wallace, could you if you could arrange a memo on behalf of Mr. Bouchard to the good Duke, that may be helpful in facilitating his ideas.
He actually takes out his phone, and I'm messaging PJ right now.
Okay.
Getting it for that, he gives a polite bow and then sits right back down.
By the way, I should mention that since my character had been standing in the middle of the room, this was something I needed to take care of on my way back to my seat.
Okay.
My character on the way back to his seat quietly flips the light to the sun lamp that was plugged into the wall. As he goes back to his seat, the light, which is connected to the plant bed, turns on mysteriously as he quietly goes back to his seat.
It does seem to catch a couple of people's attention, but to what you actually see, Miss Reynolds actually, her hand, which had been on the table in almost split second speed, you see her hand flies to her hip, and after a couple of seconds, she returns it to the table. No, Miss, and this is the Prince speaking. Miss Reynolds, do you wish to? You had requested to speak. She nods. It's funny that you mentioned, as she nods over to you, Florian. Funny that you mentioned these undesirables in our domain, and it's also I find it funny that security and our issue with it has already been brought up this evening. So I will reiterate that we are indeed in need of further and tighter security measures. As I understand, Mr. Levitoya and Mr. Ashford both experienced some number of incidents a few months ago regarding this car club, and these what was it? What was it, Mr. Marquez? He turns to her. Solo Kings. She nods. Very well. At this point, I am strongly, no, I'm not going to even use that word. I am fervently suggesting a significant increase and a significant ramp in the amount of security measures that all of our peerage are taking. And for those of you that are already taking these measures to secure your borders, I applaud you. In fact, the entire Bruja family applauds you for this. But more can always be done. We have had in the last year, we've had Infernalist Tremere, which, by the way, I would like to point out the absence of Miss Caraway at this meeting this evening. We have had Infernalist Tremere that had to be put down. We still don't know what's going on with this Seven situation. There are far too many variables going on in this state for us to idly sit by. And with this, you hear her voice begins to pick up in fervor, as well as her body language begins to change and into that of almost of what you would expect, of a Napoleon Bonaparte or a Hannibal or a Sherman sitting down and delivering some kind of a speech to their men.
You said Andy.
And I know this is Sarah.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, Bruja that just.
Yeah. And before I yield my time, again, please think about these things. This is for our own good. I am no longer prepared to stand by idly and let our cousins, again as she nods over to Mr. Bouchard, freely roam this state and attack our homes and firesides. And with that, I'll give the time to the floor.
Ashford will politely raise one finger and wait to be recognized.
The Prince nods his way.
It is Ashford, so David was going to speak, but he's going to let Ashford speak.
Yep.
Because it's Ashford.
Yep.
Regarding the Seven, I do have intel on these particular individuals. Just for the hell that I'm going to be rolling manipulation leadership.
Copy that.
Spending willpower on this.
Is this a discipline you're...
No, sir, it is not.
You're just trying to present
Politicking, yes.
Gotcha.
There you go.
Woo, boy! Alright. Well, that's
God
good.
damn.
That's great. Well,
Not bad.
I'm really glad I spent that willpower because woo, that 10. Now, let's see. That's 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 successes. I have intel on these individuals. I know them, and he, in a kind of a grandstanding, stands up to his full height, his 6'4", muscular frame, his voice resonating, this aura of command actually coming out on him. These individuals hide behind a secret society, a complete circle. They have infiltrated a Freemason grouping, as best I can figure. They are attached to other members of specific hunter groups that I have information on. Now, I believe someone agitated these hunters into action, and this might have something to do with Duke Daisy's events. Now, if I am granted authority to, I will investigate this matter further and see what happened exactly to our dear August Duke. I will make it my personal mission to find these agitators and settle this matter once and for all. I am quite sick of seeing these subversive elements, these premier infernalists, these filthy scum infiltrating our fair city and rotting it from the inside. I agree completely and wholeheartedly with Miss Reynolds. I agree with Hardgrove in his summation that Big Brother is always trying to sneak his tentacles into our business. But then again, if we don't police our business, then who will?
You see a couple of nods. You see a couple of nods.
Says, I'll get Black Decker on it too. He seems to know a thing or two. If you need him, give him a call. And he grins that evil grin that you know, that you recognize. Just like, he's got your back.
And with that, you see, again, Miss Reynolds still, the fire's still clearly not out in her belly, as as she stands to her feet, and apparently that's been a thing tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be quite frank. Forgive my coarse language, but none of you, except this man over here, are getting the fucking point. We can sit here all night, and we can trade war stories, and we can jack each other off all night. But until we get out there in the trenches, nothing is going to matter. You're not understanding it. You're not understanding it, and you sure as hell aren't understanding it. As she points over to the prince.
Who were the first two?
The first two, one happened to be Andy, the other one happened to be Odom, who has just now walked in to the place.
He had to tap Prometheus on the back, and he. Don't. You heard a don't as he walked in.
Yeah. As she sits,
she
returns to her chair. The prince lets out an audible sigh. Okay. Clearly, there is a number of impassioned pleas that are going around the council this evening. So that leads me to another issue on the docket. We are clearly aware, as none of us have made blatantly obvious, that there is a significant security breach going on in our state. So that being said, what's our next step? He looks around, looking around the ballroom at this, having his eyes having finally fell onto the new Malkavian, whom he had not personally met yet. You there? You've been oddly quiet through all of this.
Me?
Yes, that would be you. You can come out from under the table, by the way. Prometheus won't hurt you.
Faye stands up slowly. I don't usually come to these things at all. She kind of...
But yet you're here tonight.
Wait, there's someone who's more antisocial than I am?
You get eyes cut to you from the big... Go ahead, dear.
I expected to find a friend of mine when I came to town, but seems she had business elsewhere. So I thought if I tried to introduce myself, maybe...
At this, Harry raises a hand. He's looking at you and says, wait. Bergstrom.
To which Marquez perks up.
Annika?
Yes.
Yeah, that was his night. And he points at Marquez. That was his night. You wanna? Or should I? He's talking to Marquez, whatever. You wanna or should I?
Let me think about it. For now,
but
let's just be honest. Let's be honest here. Everybody knows. Everybody on this council knows. Within 2 weeks, I'm going to try to fuck it.
Well.
I'm sorry. Facts are facts.
Faye just kind of backs herself against the wall in the corner.
Who am I kidding? He's always that forward.
Slides back down to the floor.
So, in all honesty, Harry, she's probably going to be better in your care than mine.
I'll take care of her. Maybe introduce her to a couple of people. Yeah. Tell you what. He reaches in his pocket and he waves off the girl that's sitting with him, and he rolls over himself and leans down carefully and extends the card to you. You need a friend.
Very carefully takes the card.
You need a friend. You call me, okay?
Okay.
I knew Annika. She was good people. Her partner in crime, for lack of a better word, was pretty good people, I guess. I mean, we got along. So, you need something, let me know, okay? And you don't have to be afraid of me. At this, just as a joke, he goes, bah! That twist right at the end.
It woke Florian back up from his nap.
Yeah. The whole time you haven't seen, Marquez's pointer finger, slowly wrapping on the table as all of this is going on.
Uh,
Andy, having leaned into his ear as he turned his head slightly to her, she leans away from him, looking at him. As he looks, he nods, and she turns her attention back to the court.
but yeah, if you need something, give me a call. We've got a connection for nourishment if you're lacking. Uh, Whatever you might need, we might be able to find it. If I can't find it, he can, and he points at David. But anyway, you don't have to stay there, by the way. If you'd like, one of us can stay close to you and keep all these other freaks away from you. And he's
Politely-
obviously grinning ear to ear as he looks around.
Politely standing up, he taps on his table. Prince, Dukes of Tarheel, fellow Kindred, I must bid you good evening. I have some tasks I need to handle. They're one of the more interesting of my charges is having a rough go at it, so they need my help.
Very well, Mr. Bashar. This is the Prince speaking. Very well, Mr. Bashar. Do be safe this evening.
Thank you, and to you, and to everyone here.
And
That
as you get up, David says, "Keep in touch, Florian."
will do.
Prometheus, move.
But you notice, well, everyone notices that when he leaves, he forgets these.
David will quietly walk over and pick him up and put it in his pocket.
All right.
Take it easy, Joey.
Okay.
Alright. But yeah, again. He walks out.
Now, Faye, you did notice when Marquez said that last line, the prince's face visibly grimaced.
Yeah, Faye was probably too busy being terrified of the thought to notice much of anything else.
Yeah. Well, the prince visibly grimaced. Meanwhile, Andy was nodding in agreement the entire time, whereas Miss Reynolds, who had simply shrugged her shoulders.
By the way, you notice Harry hasn't moved very far from you since your discussion.
While all this is going on, my character has quietly written a little note and passed it and tried to have it passed around, which says for the my character doesn't. Miss Reynolds identified herself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it literally says for Duchess Reynolds.
It gets passed over to her.
Note quietly says, while this particular system may not be desirable by this present court, I do have other options for your domain should you wish to contact me. And there's a little bit of and there's a little number on the bottom as well.
As you see, she folds the small slip of paper over as she slips it into a pants pocket as she turns her attention over to you, nodding in your direction. So, but again, this is the Prince again speaking. So, apologies as we have apparently gotten off track. What is our? How do we combat? How do we combat the many threats that are facing us now?
My character passes a note directly to the prince, again, it has a note that goes round. He's only doing notes because he doesn't want to offend that Duke who basically said you raise your hand again.
He's afraid. It's like, I am not talking with him around. Yeah.
It's basically like, I'm not talking, but, you know, but they did. But the prince said notes were okay. Note goes to the prince, which basically says, while it is understood that this location system is a problem, some system of being able to provide backup to Kindred within minutes might not be a bad idea, with all of us being on the lookout.
Right. As this, as the council appears to be thinking, Marquez speaks. My military days did teach me a few things, and chief among them in this situation is the idea of a QRF, a quick reaction force is what it actually stands for. And how this operates is you pick a number of men from your unit, men that you think are particularly physically fit, men that shoot well, men that communicate well, and men that fight well, and those men stand at the ready. A home guard, if you will, that can be called on and in a moment's notice. Indeed, many men. I'm not saying it's going to work here because, I'll be honest, our numbers are lacking.
And this was from Harry, just so you'll know.
As I said, our numbers are lacking, but as he turns to Sam, what I'm about to ask is going to be extremely unconventional. And in no way do I want you to see this as a challenge to your praxis or as a challenge to any other peerage in this room. But under the circumstances, Prince, I fully believe that the right of open sire should be extended. Sam's hand goes to his chin as he strokes it for a couple of moments. It's dangerous ground that you're treading on, Mr. Levitoya. On the one hand, it is an incredible recruiting tool. On the other, it stands to be an incredible breach of masquerade. I will not give you an answer on that this evening. That is something that I am going to need to discuss with my advisors and with my office. With the advisors line, those of you that are watching this conversation, it's obvious. Sam tried not to make it obvious, but it was that his eyes slid slightly to Biltmore's direction.
Mm-hmm. And the eyes just kind of glanced over the eyes met and something was exchanged, but nothing concrete that any of you can pin down. But there was a slight moment there, father-son kind of thing.
Note also goes to other Harry. Just a little note that goes to other Harry and says, while speaking on breaches of the masquerade, and we're talking about a Minutemen force, I do believe you have something of Ekman's that might be useful if properly controlled. Note that, with the exact words, if, in capital letters, if properly controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that just goes to Harry. It's just going, gentle reminder if that need be a.
He flips it open, looks at him, looks at the other Harry, and just kind of.
Harry raises an eyebrow.
Sort of a hesitant nod.
Yes, and Harry just raises an eyebrow and nods back very slowly. And as if to say, only as a last resort.
There's things going on in the background that he's just like, I don't know if I want to do that, but Maybe.
Yeah, just,
You got a very strong maybe from him.
yeah, just
Yeah.
just to remind
The
you
prince
that is in play.
continues speaking as this is going on, by the way.
Of course.
Mhm.
Yeah, the prince basically happens as the prince is continuing to speak. Now, your idea of this reaction force, though, I do see practical application of that. Yes, he
And
cuts his eyes out. He cuts his eyes out to the rest of the dukes as if looking, for backup.
with the Minutemen response, one final note goes to the prince, and this is the last one that Harry's going to send for the next foreseeable while. This one says, how will a Minuteman force be coordinated? As in,
An
how
excellent
will
point, Mr. Walsh. Mr. Walsh has brought up the point of coordination of this force. And Mr. Levitoya, I see you're jumping at the bit over there to explain, but I can, to be quite honest, I can cover some of this as well. A force such as what you're talking about is not something that's going to be assembled overnight. This is going to take time. This is going to take training, and it's going to take an incredible amount of logistical resources.
At this, Wallace grins when he hears logistics.
Yeah, and my character
is now, Mr. Walsh. First of all, let me apologize for Hargrove's frankness, but you can simply nod yes or no to this question if you'd like. Or does your inquiry more include an issue of command and control, or more of setting up the force?
My character holds up a note which says both, with a little note underneath which is plainly visible to everybody. Coordination in the field. Communications and coordination in the field. After all, and the note finishes
Mr.
off.
Ashford,
This David puts his hand. If I may,
Mr. Ashford, Mr. Ashford, Miss Reynolds, and Mr. Hargrove. The three of you seem to be in agreement on this matter. As I am the prince, and I hold no acting voting power here other than to break a tie. I will extend the recommendation that this council create an oversight's not a good word for it, an exploratory committee, so to speak, on the possibility of putting something like this together. And I would recommend that you three head this up. And quite honestly, Mr. Levitoya is not incorrect. His military experience is very similar to mine.
at this David puts up a hand. I can provide communications if necessary. My family and I have these, and he actually will pull his hair above his ear and show he's got a little tiny earbud in his ear. Looks like a very discreet walkie-talkie, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm. At this, Walsh looks at David, smiles, and nods.
Now, they might
All right,
be
so Josh, and by the way, Josh, you're muted if you're looking to speak.
Yeah, you are. They might. He says before Josh is okay. He says, now they might take a bit to get to the ones involved, but when those are selected, wherever they might be, we'll get them to you probably within a week, if that's requested. And I offer my services as one of the. Actually, I will be one of the captains for my district. All right, go ahead, Josh.
Well, given my prior intelligence rank background, it seems that we do have all the pieces that we need. The bench will have the money, the Nosferatu have the intelligence, the Brewhound have the passion and the grit for this. With, of course, maybe some gangrel muscle from time to time. He nods very politely and hard to go with. Hey, dazzling camaraderie grin on his face right now. And basically, what I would advise is not so much a man force, but what can be scrounged up as a community effort. A coordinated strike team, or perhaps a division of cells of teams, something like that, to look in on separate issues.
And with this, Marquez speaks. The Croatan district moves that we create an advisory committee to further investigate and look into this defense. To which the prince speaks. Very well, there has been a motion made to create an advisory community, or an advisory committee for the, dare I say it, Homeland Security of the Tarheel domain. Is there a second for this?
David pipes up second.
Very well. The motion has carried. And as I've said, I would recommend the three individuals that I've spoke of just now. I would recommend that this council seriously consider including those individuals on that committee. But for now, in the interest of the security of this domain, I will utilize executive power to place those three individuals into that committee temporarily. And this order will pretty much exist until the council has had a moment to review if these placements should be permanent.
Sorry, out of character, who were the three again? Nathaniel, Ashford, David, and who was the third one?
Ashford, Reynolds, and Hargrove.
Oh, Ashford, Reynolds, and Hargrove. Sorry, I missed that. Okay.
But, ladies and gentlemen, we have made progress this evening. Slow growing as it has been, we have made progress. I have no further business. As he looks around the council as if to ask if anyone else does.
There's a on both Harry and David, on David and Harry's person. They both whip out their phones at the same time. Your Highness, I think we have a requested visitor. Somebody wants to come in
Say
that doesn't
again,
want to
Walt,
bother us.
you're
Huh?
you're robot bad, Walt. I'm sorry.
Like, there's a beep on both Harry and David's person. They both pull out their phones and look at them. And they look at each other.
Can you put it in the chat, bud? Because I can't understand a word you're saying. Thanks, Google.
Funny, I can hear him just fine.
Yeah, I can't hear him at all. I heard the uh-huh. Fine. Again, thanks, Google. I think I got the gist of what she said, but it was hard to tell for sure.
Yeah. While Walt is typing, and while the council is going on,
and who's actually coming in? So hang on. But go ahead.
While that's happening, Harry Walsh writes a small note to Duke Reynolds saying, we think similar with regards to security. Perhaps we should discuss. Perhaps if you have, if I may be so bold, may I ask an audience with you to discuss. May I ask an audience with you at a later date to discuss possible security measures to give a preemptive warning of potential attackers.
You actually see she pulls pulls an ink pen from her pocket and actually writes a note back to you. And as she passes it to you, it pretty much reads, I'll contact you.
Harry nods and puts it back in his pocket.
It's also at this point, ladies and gentlemen, that you notice that the room has now begun to fill with a number of servants that are carrying each with a silver-like, you're not sure if it's real silver or to tell, silver-like tray. And as they stop at the individual tables, they offer, various refreshments.
Mm-hmm. At this point as well, while refreshments are going on, and again, because we have time, Harry sends a note to the prince and says, by the way, if anybody's curious about that light that's still sitting there that's not tied to anything, that was the project I wanted to talk about this evening but didn't have the time because of security issues. And
as the prince reads it, he puts up a finger and he turns his attention to you. Mr. Walsh, I have not forgotten. And I will ensure that you do receive the proper time to go over this. Like I said, I am sorry that I do not feel that we'll be able to get to it tonight, but I will ensure that it is handled as best I can.
Harry nods, and Harry, of course, gives a nod to the prince. And just, All
right, go ahead, Walt. I saw you put your finger up.
Yeah. Let me see. Hang on. Can y'all hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Maybe I can actually say this. All right. David's phone actually beep, and he pulls that out and looks at it. Your Highness, it seems we have a last-minute visitor. Doesn't know where to go. It's John Taylor, sir. And David looks at Ashford and knows that Ashford has seen him.
Yeah,
what was that
name is not familiar to me.
He's the master of a martial arts school in and he looks over at Biltmore's area. Biltmore looks up. Yeah, the June. Yes, the June Crypto place. I'm fine with it.
Hargroves, his head shaking in disagreement.
Did he type up the shot? Tell him we'll meet with him later. He is willing to help.
Okay. The prince speaking his tongue. I cannot believe that I'm about to say this. I'm agreeing with Hargrove.
Very well. I'll tell him we'll meet him later. David pulls out his phone and sends a text.
After we'll actually get up close to David and basically, if someone needs to meet with him, I can just do it. Or you men out business.
Maybe we can catch him after all this is over. I'll go with.
Yes, that's
Anyway.
that is a good idea. As you see, as he is leaning back up from having one of his female aides having apparently whispered something in his ear. This, I would prefer. Again, this is all in the interest of security. I would prefer that this Mr. Taylor have a more thorough background investigation before we allow him to speak to this court.
Quite right, sir. David says. Very good, sir. We'll give him the run through.
Anyway, the prince standing this time again having made a fist to the table. Before I close our meetings for the night, is there any final new business that needs to be addressed other than Mr. Walsh showed in your issue, but I will ensure that we get to that soon.
Sorry, out of character, does that mean that I'm actually going to be allowed to talk now, or my character's allowed to talk about the project?
Actually, the prince thinks for a moment. Tell you what, Mr. Walsh. 5 minutes.
Can somebody mute whoever's echoing so this way I can actually talk properly?
It sounds like it might be Josh. Like I said, let me mute.
Okay.
Let me double check. Let me mute and double check. So, no, one thing too, it's getting late my time. So, like I said, be quick about it if you can.
Okay. No, I gotcha. Harry basically says the light you've been seeing that's been running there is actually running off plant power. Given the facts of the issues that we are facing with global warming and the facts that our kind population may be potentially putting themselves in danger with the fossil fuel issue, I've been working on this for some time and propose that we can turn a simple method to turn all plant matter in the state into a solar power-based system that will provide plenty of electricity, environmentally friendly to the kind, without them contributing to global warming and possibly cutting off breathable air supply for them in 90 years, and in turn cutting off our food supply. This is a long-term project. I can provide details to anyone else who's interested with more technical specifications later, but that's the gist of it.
That is so cool. And then suddenly Faye realizes she's spoken and gets back into her corner.
After hearing the brief synopsis, you actually see Marquez actually reaches into the pocket of the coat he's wearing, and he extends a business card out towards you. At another time, I would like to know more details on this.
Walsh takes it and pockets it away.
Prince again, looking around the room for. All right, final call for any new business.
On a side note, Cynthia gets up, puts a note next to Marquez, and it reads, I would like to talk to you in private, and that's underlined, and she sits down, gives a smile. And that's.
The Prince seeing no business, you see he raps his fist on the table a couple of times and speaks. Well, very well. We adjourn.
At this, David will Prometheus. And again, the big behemoth stands up and settles back to where he was when you came in.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, as you know, and as the council is beginning to disperse, Sam puts up a hand. Oh, one thing before you leave, if you would care to partake. In the other room out there, I was able to call in a favor and secure some entertainment for the evening if you'd be interested.
Oh? Sorry, that was a raised eyebrow, not a...
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure you probably heard them on the way in. The symphony out there,
Mm-hmm.
the conductor owed me a favor.
Yep. In the process on the way out, since the meeting, has the meeting officially adjourned by this point? Because if so, I can probably return text messages then.
Because he rapped on the table, yeah.
Okay. With that in mind, David gets a text with regards to from Walsh. This one reads. I know that Duke Hargrove didn't want anything like this in his district, and the council is still debating for the entire state. But in the meantime, as Duke of your district, would you still like to talk about the possibility of installing something similar for your area? Regarding the phone network, alert thing.
You sent him a text for that? Okay.
Just saying. Would you like to discuss the possibility of at a later date?
Back, we could talk about it in private. And sends.
Harry Walsh says some other time then, and
Mm-hmm. All right. Anybody else before we make this go
You
away?
actually do see as well. Actually, this will just be brief, and then I'll let you speak, Marie. Actually, as the council is beginning to disperse, you do see that Miss Reynolds and Hargrove actually have stepped across the room to actually have basically the one reached out to shake the hand of the other. So, and proceed, Marie.
As everybody's leaving, I'm assuming that Harry Walsh is putting his project back in the box.
Yes.
Faye comes up to him and very timidly, you made the plant thing?
Yes.
Faye holds out a business card for Forgotten Midnight Cat Rescue. I want to make my cat rescue more environmentally friendly. Text me?
Harry smiles and takes the card and says, "Definitely. I've been looking to do this on a larger scale anyway. This might be the test case I need."
Faye nods and out the door.
Whenever she's done, Harry actually rolls up to you. The other Harry rolls up to you and says, "Huh, quite literal green energy. I like it." He pulls out a card. Did I give you a card yet?
I honestly don't remember. The last time we spoke, we were in the heat of an emergency situation, if memory serves.
Quite. Yes. Okay. Anyway, he hands you a card. Call me. We need to talk.
Definitely.
Especially if we could make this into an engine, shall we say?
My character chuckles and says, "Well, solar-powered cars are something that have been attempted to work. This could potentially change that dynamic. Fair enough." And with that, Pat pockets the card as he gets back to reassembling everything and putting it in the box to take it outside.
Okay.
I was going to say, besides that, do any of the other dukes and duchesses approach Harry, or is he left to his own devices? Okay, he's left to his own devices.
They do not, but with you being pretty much one of the last ones to leave, you and Ashford, just the two of you, see this. As Andy and Marquez have left, the two have left arm in arm. As they basically step out of the doorway of this little ballroom here, you see Andy actually reaches over and gives Marquez a passionate kiss on the lips, to which he has no problem reciprocating.
Ashford, his icy blue eyes just kind of taking on it, and he's just honestly on a bit of a power high because nonsense is kind of ridiculous.
Is Jeff ready?
Say yes for me a little bit.
Well, sorry, it's never done that before. Apologies.
So Ashford goes, "Ha ha, yourself."
Basically, right now he's just kind of shrugging it off because, yeah, he's on a power high. He's remembering his days as a colonel in the military and colonial regulars, and just kind of enjoying the moment. It felt good to flex some political muscle and command the room's attention for once. So he was, yeah.
All right. Well, so, if nobody else has any personal things, we can go ahead and wrap up. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been a long overdue Elysium for Tarheel by Dark. So, what will become of this cell phone thing, and how is Hargrove going to respond? And why was our prince this evening in such a disheveled appearance? The only way to find out, ladies and gentlemen, is to stay tuned to Tarheel by Dark.